When race drivers' unions have tried to fight NASCAR in the past, including Jimmy Hoffa.
Three, two, one.
What's up, everyone? Hope everybody out there has had an amazing week. Now, obviously, so much of the talk right now is 2311 in Front Row Motorsports with the lawsuit against NASCAR. And there's been a lot of talk about why don't the drivers form a union, different things that have went on with this. I've got a lot of comments on this myself on my show. So I want to take a look at a couple times that there have been drivers get together to try to form a union against NASCAR and some of the details, and especially the outcome, because it's very reminiscent of kind of what's going on right now. Now, this goes back to 1959 with Curtis Turner. Now, Curtis Turner was developing a racetrack right outside of Charlotte, which became Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was a great idea that was going along, but they hit a problem right off the bat, which is as soon as they started digging, they hit rock. And not just rock. This was big rock. Anybody that knows the story around here, it's volcanic rock, basically. And the price of building this track got really expensive really fast. So they had to turn to dynamite. And that's where the expenses come in, because it was at a price of $1 per square foot. And if you've ever been to Charlotte Motor Speedway, you know that's a lot of square footage right there. So they hit this brick wall, basically. And the racetrack was completed. It was finished. In 1960, ran its first race. But Turner was in dire need of some help right here. So he put out notices to people to say, I need some help. Somebody wants to invest. Somebody wants to come in. And there was somebody who did jump in on this. And that was the Teamsters Union and Jimmy Hoffa with this situation. So what they did was they come in to loan Curtis Turner $800,000 to solve these problems, alleviate all of this, and move things forward in a great way. And they had some great ideas behind this, because they were going to increase the purses. They were going to provide pensions. They were going to give health benefits, and going so far as to provide scholarships for drivers who would unfortunately pass in a race, that their children could get these scholars. So it all sounded really, really good up front. But there was somebody that didn't like this idea, and that was Big Bill France. And he had his reasonings behind this. So at this time, the Federation of Professional Athletes was created, and many of the drivers joined this, and everything was looking like it was blossoming again, until Big Bill said, I'm not having this. I don't like this. And he had his reasons behind this, because there was a clause in this contract by the Teamsters that basically said, with doing this, that they could turn the NASCAR racing into horse track style racing with betting, with gambling, which in Bill's mind, that meant could turn into some fixed races, some things that would happen like this to financially help out some of these people that were putting the money into this situation. So Bill was totally against this, and he went on to say that organized gambling would be bad for our sport, and it will spill innocent blood on our racetrack. I will fight it to the end. And that's exactly what he did. He went as far as at Bowman Gray in Winston-Salem to tell the drivers, I have a pistol, and I'm not afraid to use it. And he started turning the minds of some of these drivers right here. And his biggest reason behind this was just saying that our sport has had no scandals in the past. If you look at other professional sports who have got associated with stuff like this, things have happened. There's been dirt on the different series and things that made it look bad, and he did not want it in the sport. And with this, different drivers started to step away, including Fireball Roberts and Ned Jarrett. And other drivers started to follow in these footsteps as well. But there were two drivers who stood steady with their beliefs in this, and that was Tim Flock and, of course, Curtis Turner. And they fought this tooth and nail to the end. And in 1962, they filed an injunction that went to court, and basically the outcome was nothing in the favor of these two gentlemen. And in fact, they were also banned from NASCAR following this, and are not allowed to compete in NASCAR events. And in the end, NASCAR won. Basically, Tim Flock went on to say that when this went to court, the judge was up there reading comic books. And you got to look at this. This is the Teamsters. This was Hoffa money. This was kind of some crazy money here fighting NASCAR, and they were not able to prevail. Now we're going to move to 1969, and this basically come about at Talladega, at that time, Alabama International Speedway. This is the inaugural year of this, and they had tire failures. There was high speeds on this racetrack. A lot of drivers had issues with this. A lot of things they didn't like. And at this time, the Professional Drivers Association was formed. It was pretty much spearheaded by Richard Petty, and they did not like the situation at hand. And they voiced their concerns with this. And in response to this, by Big Bill France was he went out at the age of 59 and got in a Ford Torino and turned a lap of 175 miles per hour. So he basically come in and told the drivers, you don't like it, go home. And there's a legendary story with this right here that Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, and Leroy Yarbrough were confronted by Big Bill in this situation right here. And this was part of the topic of saying that you're scared. And Leroy Yarbrough apparently took a swing at Big Bill and knocked him to the ground. So with that, a lot of the drivers packed up. Most of the drivers packed up and boycotted the race and went home. But Bill France, with his perseverance and his head steady way of my way or the highway, he got other people in there to fill out this race. And the race went off without a hitch. I believe there were 65,000 people in attendance. And by the next week, the Professional Drivers Association boycott was over, and the whole association, the union, was pretty much short-lived following that. So this is two examples of when unions have come into NASCAR and tried to fight, and the outcomes have not really been that good. Now, I'm going to say right now, I am not for or against. I have no dogs in this fight, so please don't think I'm on one side or the other. That's not. I'm just presenting some facts to you, and I want to talk about something else with this as well. There are a lot of people out there who are voicing their concerns about this and saying, why don't the drivers start their own union and go against NASCAR with this? Why don't they start their own series outside of NASCAR? Now, I want to present a couple of simple things with this right here. NASCAR has built this over a long period of time, and it shows because of getting broadcast rights. And this is something that NASCAR has been very good at doing. If you take a look at the SRX series, they had CBS, primetime television, 8 o'clock on Saturday nights with this series, with NASCAR names, with Indy names, with the biggest names in racing, and it was very short-lived. They had to move to Thursday nights because they were not getting the broadcast viewership that they needed, and eventually the SRX series faded away. You look at other great series. I mean, the World of Outlaws. I'm a dirt track guy myself. This is the best racing in the world to me, dirt track racing, period. But with this said, the World of Outlaws, you don't see them on primetime television on ABC, NBC, CBS, USA, all these different networks. Now, we do have great racing channels that show these, and I'm very appreciative for that. But yet, they have not been able to obtain primetime television like this on basic network television. So that shows how difficult it is to get something like this. And I think that's one of NASCAR's avenues right now, is they're saying, we put in the footwork, you're going to be a part of this, but go ahead. Go try it yourself. Now, I want to bring up one other thing with this, with the unions. And this is in another industry that I'm in. For anybody who doesn't know, I work in the film business, the film and television business. I have for a very long time. And if you paid attention not long ago, there was the Screen Actors Guild strike. And with this, a lot of people had a lot of problems with it because your favorite television shows weren't on TV anymore. And this strike lasted for a very, very long time. And there's an interesting part of this because with the Screen Actors Guild, they got you bound. Once you're part of the Screen Actors Guild, you're bound by their rules and everything that goes along with that. You cannot work on independent TV shows or films or anything else like that without being penalized. You have to go through them for every film that you want to make. Everything basically has to go by their rules and their way or no way. And it's very interesting because during the strike, so many people were out of work for a very, very long time. And yes, it was for getting better benefits, better things for the actors, the writers, everybody that's involved with filmmaking. But during this process, people were out of work. And that lasted, again, for a very, very long time. You did not get the content out there to watch. You were left watching reruns and a few short episodes that might have been done before the strike. But it impacted a lot of people in a lot of negative ways. And also with this, there was the transition of where this becomes something more for the higher ups instead of the people who make all the films happen. And again, so many people were out of work with this. So imagine if this happened in NASCAR. Imagine if there was this group, this union that forms, and they say, here's the deal. your favorite driver can only drive NASCAR anymore. No more guys driving sprint cars. Nobody's in late models anymore. Only way you're going to drive is in these events right here, part of this deal. That would be really bad for a lot of situations. And not saying that that's what would happen, but also imagine if through this process they also said, we're not happy with this deal, kind of like what 2311 and Front Row are doing right now, and just said, hey, we're going on strike. Now, if you think back during the coronavirus, it was a pretty shitty time for racing right there because, first of all, you didn't have anything to watch unless you went back and watched reruns or you were watching some guys running iRacing on their computers on broadcast television, which was fun for a week or so. And then it kind of got, okay, I had enough of that. So this is very interesting that you got to be careful what you wish for, because if something like this did happen, in many ways, it could be the end of racing for a long period of time or in general. Because just imagine if there is a new series that starts and it has to go out and try to find this broadcast television or any television, which I'm sure somebody would come in to be a part of this. And, you know, honestly, could be a great deal. But still, I don't want to go without racing. So I hope everybody is able to come to some terms, some good agreements with this that benefits everybody, and we don't have any major issues. But anyways, I appreciate you watching this episode. Again, hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great week out there, and I look forward to the racing this weekend. And as always, we'll see you at the checkered flag.